Florida might.
Speaking of, dude, what are you talking about? You had a little Clancy's conniption that made you late today? How about you give us a little spiel? I haven't heard the whole story.
It really wasn't a conniption. It was.
I could see it being a little bit of a conniption.
Well, it was just a to-go order gone bad. A typical deal. No problem really, but Mackenzie obviously had to work. I had to bring her food before she had to go to work. So here I am trying to get my to-go order in real quick. Put the to-go order in. No problem. Have a couple beers. Out it comes. Her food. Perfect. Mine. Wrong. Bad timing. I got to sit back. I grabbed it to go, haul ass back to the house, drop it off for her, haul ass back to Clancy's. Ended up working out in my favor. I ended up getting a $20 gift card, free pizza basically. Wasn't a huge deal. That's why I wouldn't call it a conniption, or whatever.
Did you raise a stink
or
anything? I mean, clearly you raised a little bit of hell. They gave you a $20 gift card for free there, guy.
Well, no, I go there a lot, so they felt a little bad. The bartender put it in right. It came out of the kitchen wrong. So it wasn't anybody's wrongdoing but the kitchen. So they felt a little bad and basically gave me a pizza on them next time I go in. So
it's not a big deal. A little local love.
But it did force another 4 beers in me, having to wait. So this podcast may get off the rails quickly.
Tuned up and lubed up. I love it. What'd you get? Let's just go down a rabbit hole real quick. What'd you get pizza-wise? What are your toppings of choice?
Well, I went light tonight. Normally, I'll get a Supreme with roasted red peppers, a little green pepper, some sausage, pepperoni, and mushroom. I'm not a big onion guy, but tonight I just went sausage and pepperoni. Just a little light meat lover. No homo.
I go straight Dave Portnoy style. I like the classics. Just give me cheese and give me pepperoni. Every now and again, I'll go a little buffalo chicken, you know. That always got some flavor, a little kick. But
it's not a bad move.
Yeah, most people can't mess that up. You know, if you're messing up a cheese pizza or a pepperoni pizza, you got some problems with your pizza establishment. I don't.
So are you more of a buy the slice guy, or do you go full pie, get leftovers, eat a cold pizza in the morning?
I'm a full pie, get left. I mean, dude, look at me. I'm clearly a full pie guy. You kidding me? I don't go slices. I mean, unless there are places around here in good old O-Town that are only by the slice, but they give you like gigantic ones. So it's essentially having your own little personal pie. I think if you want to get the actual pizza, it's like 30 inches. It's massive.
How often do you head down to Disney World and get yourself a Mickey pie? Get you a Mickey Mouse. Get you just eat the ears tonight, save the face for later.
Isn't that kind of what a pizza pie is? It's just a little Mickey Mouse here. But no, I can't tell you the last time you were at Disney before I've been to Disney. I haven't been to Disney since God knows when. Me and the mouse have it out.
I was on the outskirts. It was for business reasons. I was not going into the Magic Kingdom, riding the Splash Mountain, going and seeing the Rock and Roller Coaster. I didn't do any of that.
Speaking of a little bit of magic, how about this Jags-Chiefs game we got coming up here, 4:30 on Saturday? We got one team that needed a little bit of magic to get themselves in it. The Chiefs have a magic man, I guess. But what are your thoughts on this game? We got a good one, I think. I mean, I could see it getting out of hand, but I think it's going to be a pretty good one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the magic comes to an end for the Jaguars. It's a close game for most of it. But I think the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs, they just get it done at home at Arrowhead. I saw a little thing where Trevor Lawrence said that, and I know it was taken out of context, but he did say that he can't imagine Arrowhead being louder than the what's the name of that fucking stadium? Shitbank, where fucking Georgia's beaten Florida too many times recently.
Oh, is that? I don't even know, but the Jag Stadium, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Basically, Trevor Lawrence said, I can't imagine that Arrowhead's any louder than we were on Saturday night. It was taken a little out of context, the quote, but
well, that stadium has been about as irrelevant as the Jags have been until this year. So I'm not surprised I don't know it. But on the subject of it being loud, did you see? Because of course that got some Chiefs fans going. And I didn't know this, but apparently they've tried to set a world record there before for being the loudest stadium in I think the world. Guinness came in, and when they were trying the attempt, apparently one of the suites, this glass in the suites shattered.
I did not see that. I'm looking up a clip right now, though, of I should have clipped it into our notes here, but there's a clip of Arrowhead Stadium being so loud. It was, I believe, the Bills on the goal line, and the announcer, I don't know if this is real or not, but the refs come out and say basically the crowd's too loud and they need to
That's
keep
a
it
thing.
down.
You can do that.
I don't know. I'm looking it up for a
That
fact
has to
check
be
real quick.
Yeah, because I mean, besides the Chiefs, the only one that is considered just unanimously across the league, either as loud or louder, is Seattle. Obviously, once you get into like football, you get some real loud ones, whether it be LSU, Florida, Oregon. You know, you got some Big Ten. All those are pretty good. The Big House. What is it? The Coliseum. Actually, the Coliseum probably don't get that loud. That's USC. The Horseshoe is what I was thinking of for Ohio State. But while you're looking that up, I mean, the game should be okay. I will say we got the first offense with the Chiefs going up against the 24th ranked defense in the in the Jaguars. So, but last time they played, it was 27-17 in November. So it wasn't like they were able to hold their own. Both teams are coming in a little hot. You got the Jags on a 6-game heater right now. Like we said, need a little bit of magic to get that 6th game. And the Chiefs, though, they're balling. 5-game win streak, 10 of the last 11 they've won. So, I mean, clearly you don't become a number 1 seed, first round bye without having some serious wins. But it should be a pretty good game. Trevor Lawrence, like you said, well, we were saying pregame here that he's got a questionable for a toe injury. I think that's a bunch of horse crap. Realistically, I just think he needs to make sure that he limits the interceptions. Jags D needs to come to play second half like they did. They played like a top 5 defense against the Chargers in that second half. They need to make that a 4-quarter effort. And then, you know, Mahomes and Kelsey, what they're going to do is what they're going to do. The problem with them is you just got to be able to have either a safety or some sort of linebacker to be able to stop them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I also think that Patrick Mahomes just might be too much in general, man. That guy just, like you said earlier, magic. The guy's unbelievable.
He is something else. He's truly something else. And when it comes to that, I mean, Vegas obviously has the Chiefs winning. It's a 8.5 spread at the moment for the Chiefs. They think it's going to be a high-scoring game. They say 53 points. I'm trying to do the mental math in my head. The 27-17, the previous one, that would be around 44 points, if I'm not mistaken. So that one, well, it was kind of close. I don't see 53. It's going to be a nice day there, 40 degrees. I just don't see it being that high scoring of a game unless the Chiefs drop like 40 and the Jags somehow get themselves into the 20s. But I don't necessarily know if I see it being a 53 over. But we'll see. I think, honestly, when I'm looking at my prediction here, I do kind of have it being in that realm.
Well, if you go ahead and click on the notes there where we're talking about Mahomes and Kelsey being dynamic, if you click ever, that's going to pull up the article that I'm referring to about the crowd noise. And if you go ahead and click Kelsey, you can pull up the video that you can show to the 7 people that watch this.
To the masses. We got masses following us. Speaking of that, we had a really good contingent of India going for us, but then they just completely decided to drop out. It's like a mass exodus.
You know those guys, they're in and out all the time. They're just doing big business deals. They bought and sold us real quick. There'll be a new conglomerate that buys us soon.
Some big Indian multinational is going to come in and sponsor the show. Listen, for anyone out there, we are open for any and every sponsor. Grizzly, you see us.
You see us over here.
All right, let me share this so we can play it. All righty, let's see what we got going on. And so this is the one where you're saying that the refs come in and say you got to quiet down.
That's the way I saw it earlier on Twitter, but Twitter does Twitter things.
Well, let's see how it goes.
This is the video I pulled up raw.
Second down.
It's loud.
Inside their one. Elway is under center. Now he pulls away again. His hands on his hips. He looks back at Gordon McCarter, the referee, said, hey, what gives?
Again, I have asked the defense to help lower the crowd noise. Any further crowd noise problem will result in a charged timeout against Kansas City. Thank you for your cooperation.
How is that one? To me, that is like if there were sins of football, that is about the first sin on the Ten Commandments.
Leave it back
like
up
thou
right
shalt not tell the crowd to quiet down. That's ridiculous.
Will you pull it back up where you had it though?
Yeah, give me 1 second. What were you going to point out?
Just right where you had it paused.
Right where I had it paused. I will bring that up. Give me a second here. Let me get it going.
Or just play it again. I want to hear that noise again. Turn it up as loud as you can. Because that noise they were loud. Definitely.
Uh-oh. I went ahead of it. You got to tell me to point this stuff out beforehand before I stop sharing it, guy.
There you go.
All right, what were you trying to look at here?
No, go back to where they just go play the whole thing again. Fuck it. Play it again. Let's watch Elway be a prima donna. Or don't start it over. I don't care. But it'd be cool if you just did. Just start it over. I'll tell you when to pause it.
So what? All you wanted to hear was the thing again? You didn't have anything to point out?
I guess we glitched out. I didn't see any of that. I wanted to just basically point out the yellow hats. I hope that they bring those back because a crowd of 90,000 wearing those yellow hats is intimidating.
Oh, good Lord. You should have just said the yellow hats, my guy. Apparently we're having some technical difficulties because that replayed for me. I don't know if it did for you or not, but I got to see those yellow hats.
I'm glad you got to see it again. I didn't. I'm disappointed. But hopefully I see them again on Saturday at 4:30 with my lock of the week, Chiefs 38-21.
I got Chiefs 35-24, also a lock of the week. We're going to have another similarity for that. Now, let me say, lock of the week. Yeah, I'm going to say this is my lock of the week, to be honest. I have a lock of the day coming Sunday, but I would probably say this has to be the lock of the divisional round, no doubt. But then that comes in, I mean, realistically, once you're getting into divisional round, you're coming into some pretty solid games. That's going to lead, why that one's at 4:30 and then the Giants-Eagles is at 8:15. Not really sure because I kind of see that the Eagles and Giants would be a better game. I mean, maybe a worse game, but I don't know. Maybe that's just my Florida Jags bias coming in.
I don't know. I got a few thoughts on why. One being it's a interdivisional game, the only interdivisional game of the divisional round. Also, the link at night, that place is going to be nuts. Can you imagine Philadelphia Eagle fans given permission to drink all day? Those guys have been they've been waiting for this, those guys. That's going to get us in trouble. Those people have been waiting for this all day or all their life, really. When's the last time the Eagles hosted a night game in the playoffs?
Couldn't say, to be honest. But one thing I do know, we're always on. It's always sunny in Philly, and they're always thirsty. So I can totally see you get them lubricated, it's going to be a pretty good. Now, Lincoln, though, it's not really known for being anything too crazy besides their fans being kind of shit. You know what I mean? That's the problem with it. But other than that, it should be a pretty good game. Hurts is back healthy. The only two losses they have in the past 5 games, because they have been 3-2, are the games that he was out and Minshew was starting. Giants are in a similar boat, 3-2. For them, I think they ride or die by how Daniel Jones plays. Obviously, he went almost for 100 yards last week against the Vikings, 300-plus yards in the air. If he can keep that up and then Saquon can just be Saquon, I think they have an okay shot. Last time they played, it was 22-16. But Philly is coming in. They got the, third best defense in the league. They got the second best offense in the league. And then the Giants are sitting there 18th best. And then they also have the 25th best defense. Like you said, though, it's a little bit more of a rivalry atmosphere, so it could get a little rowdy there. But I just don't know if I see the Giants being able to pull it out. But I'm hoping for a good game. We got the over-under at 48. I could see that happening. But, again, just like we had in the previous game, Vegas has Philly comfortably. They got a 7.5 spread in favor of Philly.
I think it all comes down to how healthy is Jalen Hurts. Is he going to be able to be as dynamic running the football as he usually is? If he is, that's going to take over the game, in my opinion. I think the Eagles may cruise to a victory. But he hasn't been healthy. Granted, they got the bye week, and that probably helped him immensely. We'll see come kickoff. We're going to see how healthy he is. I assume the Eagles are going to come out ready to play. I don't see why they wouldn't. In terms of defensively, I think that they're going to come out. They got a third-rated defense in the league. They're going to come out and play good football. The Giants have kind of been riding some luck, so we'll see if that luck runs out. They're similar to the Jaguars, right? If that luck runs out, it could be a slaughter. But I also think the Giants are looking to avenge a couple demons they have in their franchise's closet.
Exercise the demons. I can see that, and Hurts too, just to your point of him being able to be dynamic. I looked up his stats. And this being hurt 2 games, he had almost 4,000 yards in the air, 3,701 yards, and then he also rushed for 760 yards. I don't see his touchdowns. He had 13 touchdowns on the ground and then 22 through the air. That guy truly is, I mean, of course, you got A.J. Brown there as his receiver. That offense is so legit. I mean, there's literally only one better, and that's the Chiefs. They've been magic since Mahomes has been a starter.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can see him overcoming it. But those G-men, sometimes are sneaky because I didn't think that they were going to beat the Vikings either.
No, and I also think that this may be the best game of the weekend looking ahead. But I've been wrong before. I'm 80-20. That's how I roll.
That's what they were saying at Clancy's, 80-20 on your pizza order. They knew you ordered a small. Now, what do you got? Say that again?
Glitching.
That's all right. Listen, this whole thing's a glitch right now. We're newbies to the game. We're trying to get it all squared away. What do you got yourself, though, for the prediction here?
Well, I'm taking a little bit of an upset here. I'm going 24-21 Giants.
See, I mean, I like it. You have them truly exercising some demons there at old Philly. I have it reversed. I've honestly just been riding the favorites train. Hasn't really helped me out too much so far in the playoffs. But I got it 28-17 Philadelphia. Sort of matches their last game where it was 22-16. I'm hoping that the G-Men can at least make it close. Honestly, I'd prefer your score to be, except just reverse that for the Phillies winning, just to have a really tight ball game. But we'll see how it goes. It should hopefully be a good
little while. The Phillies don't play for a little while.
Yeah, so you're saying like the rust factor could be coming into effect?
No, you just said you hope the Phillies win, and the Phillies are a baseball team, and they don't start.
Oh, did I say Phillies? I got Philadelphia on the brain, guy. You're talking to me. Phillies are a Braves rival, so I always am thinking about how much I hate those motherfuckers. Eagles shows you. I want the Eagles to win, but if it were 24-21, that would be legit. And then that caps off the Saturday games. Then we head into what I think might be the true best game of the weekend, Bengals-Bills. 3 o'clock on Sunday. Again, makes me question, why is this not the late game? My only thought is potentially crowds, because both those teams are on the East Coast. Next game, you got Niners-Cowboys, so maybe to draw their fans since they're respectively an hour and 3 hours back. Probably why it's the late one.
That's 100% why it is.
But other than that, I think that this game, though, Bengals-Bills, you got 2 premier quarterbacks, Joe Burrow with the Bengals, Josh Allen with the Bills. Both of them studs. It's going to be a heck of a game. DeMar Hamlin, like you were talking about earlier, or you were talking about in the pregame, he might be or has been in and about the Bills training facility. So hopefully he gives him a little extra juice. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, you're looking at two teams playing with a lot of emotion, especially coming out of the game that got canceled. This game has a lot riding on it, especially being a playoff game. But both teams are looking to settle some unfinished business, in my opinion. And I actually have the Bills coming out on top in a little bit of a shootout, 35-31. I think this game's a little more low scoring than people think. And I don't know what the over is. It's 48, so I'd be well over it. But I think that this game would be it's going to be the Bills game to lose, in my opinion. They're going to be at home, and a little bit of a home field advantage. DeMar Hamlin's going to be on the sidelines. If I had to guess, I think that the emotions will be running high. If the Bills can withstand, or the Bengals can withstand that initial surge, it's going to be a shootout. But I got the Bills winning. A late one.
Yeah, see, I have it as a close game as well. I got 42-35 Bills on this one. Obviously, like you said, 48 is the line to beat for the over-under. I think that clearly goes over on that one.
That seems really low. I did not know. I didn't look at that before I made my prediction. That seems really low to me.
Yeah, it does, especially with a couple other games. What is it? It was the Philly game, right? Or the game
Phillies,
before.
yeah, the Phillies game.
Gosh, why am I saying Phillies, dude? I have baseball on the brain. The Eagles game. What am I doing over here? But no, it's the Jets. Here I go again, man. It's the Jags Chiefs that's 53 over under, which I think that's more strange than this. Like, this is only 48.
The temperature's only 33. Like, it's not like it's going to be snowy and really shit out. It's cloudy and 33. Like, that's Cincinnati weather. Like, that's not even really Buffalo weather.
True. It's not going to be well, Miami didn't make it a factor for them. So I think weather as far as coldness ain't going to be too big. But you do have pretty good defenses. Bills, surprisingly, the first-rated defense in the league. Bengals are 7th. Again, offense for Cincinnati has not been their strong suit. They're 15th in the league, where Buffalo. I keep thinking about the Phillies, dude. So now I'm questioning myself every single time. But Buffalo is sitting there at 4th. I think it's going to be a barn burner. I am sort of shocked that it's not around the 50 mark with the over-under. But Vegas seems to always know something other people don't. So they must have some juju out there, or they may have broken someone's kneecap that we don't know about yet.
Well, that's how the NFL rolls, though, man. It's usually low scoring. I mean, you got two of the top-rated defenses, the 7th-rated versus the 1st-rated being the Bills at number 1. So I can
maybe
see
that
it being a
factors
low
into
scoring
it.
game. But how many times have we seen these high-rated defenses come into games like this and just give up points, and it's a shootout? So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards in a playoff game with a lot of emotion. I see a lot of points being scored, but 80-20 could be wrong.
Well, and it just to your point of it, these high-rated defenses, I mean, look at what the Bills gave up to Miami at home to a third-string quarterback. Maybe you can make the excuse of film or something like that.
Or overlooking a team. That's very possible. It happens all the time.
I see that one I do see, but at the same token, it's like this is a wild card game. If you don't win it, you're a professional athlete. Like, this ain't college football where, you just got another week after that, or even in the playoffs. I don't think you need to overlook teams, but I guess if we're speaking college football, you could say Michigan potentially did that against TCU. But either way, that should be a good barn burner of a game, and then it's going to lead into the night game at 6:30, which I love. I hate it when it's these 8:15 Sunday games because us in the East Coast, I got to work on Monday, dude. I get a little tuckered out.
I'm with you, man. Let's get this thing over with. I want to be in bed by 9:30. Let's get this thing done.
We all know most of the viewers are going to be in the East Coast anyway, so just give us what we want, and what they're giving us is hopefully a solid game with the Cowboys, 49ers. Over-under sitting there at 46. Spread is favoring the 49ers at a -4. Money line, don't really care about that because it sucks. Really, this is the first game where there's actually a player with a semi-substantial injury. Well, not even injury, but who's just listed as questionable in Juwan Jennings with the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't see that being a huge factor. He's probably going to play. But realistically, I see this game potentially being a real good one. I mean, if Dak can do the same performance that he did with the Bucks,
I think it'd be absolutely crazy if Jawan Jennings' injury with the Bengals affected the
oh my
Cowboys 49ers
God,
game. I think that'd be insane if that happened. But if it does, the fuck, the Cowboys got a lot more to worry about than
the
what they
sad
got
fact
going on.
is I'm completely sober. I'm just completely sober over here, messing everything up. I wish I had like some excuse that I had a little Clancy's conundrum and I was 4 beers deep. I could tuck it in under something else. I got no excuse. That's just called bad note taking. That's probably why I was a C student in college.
But anyways, we both actually have the no, we don't. I have the under hitting. You got the over in a 42-17 lock of the week. Is this your lock of the day too?
Lock of the day. We're both mimicking
Is this
each other
your
on the
lock of
locks.
the weekend? Is this your lock of the weekend?
I don't think it's my lock of the weekend. I'm going to go with the Chiefs Jags on that one. But I just think that this is going to be one of those second half games like it was with 49ers versus the Ravens where that defense just comes to play. Because if I'm not mistaken, they're a top-rated defense. Yeah, the 49ers are the second best defense in the NFL behind the Bills. So I have all confidence in them, especially what we saw. Again, I know it wasn't against Dak.
I do think the Cowboys get a little exposed here. I do have a much closer 7-point game just because it's a playoffs. I gotta show some respect, but I think it's going to be a Niners win. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be too much. Brock Purdy keeps riding the wave, and the Niners win. That is my lock.
And to your point, though, showing them the Cowboys some respect, the Cowboys did beat the 49ers last time they played them. Granted, it was in 2020, and it was a 41-31 barn burner. So if that means anything, you got that in your back pocket.
Well, like they say, man, you can throw records out the window when it comes to the playoffs.
When it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, records don't mean shit.
They also just got their first playoff win on the road in my lifetime. So,
yeah, that is true. I didn't even think about that. But it should be good. I think that Purdy, honestly, they've been going on with Purdy. They've won 6 out of the last 10 games. So, or excuse me, of their 10-game win streak that they're currently on, 6 of them have been with Purdy behind the center. So this dude's never lost a game in his pro career, and I don't think it's going to happen this weekend. He might be Tom Bradying us all as we speak.
What does that mean?
Listen, you don't have to know what it means. It sounds good. It gets the people going.
You sure you haven't been drinking?
I might not be the smartest or brightest bulb in the box, so take that with a grain of salt.
Well, speaking of people that aren't the smartest or brightest bulbs in the box, did you see Antonio Brown's Snapchat this week? They got leaked. Holy shit!
I wish I didn't, to be honest. I got to see a lot more of Antonio Brown past couple of days than I ever thought I'd have to see.
Well, it's funny because now he comes out and says that his account was hacked. So it wasn't even him.
And for those who don't know, what is today? Today's obviously Thursday, early Wednesday morning, I guess maybe even Tuesday night. Good old AB goes on his Snapchat and has a pretty XXX rated snap with his, I guess, baby mama, not his wife. What's her name? Chelsea Chris.
Yeah, he's getting after it.
Yeah, he's riding her like a pony, dude. She's moaning and groaning. And if you want to go see it, just type it into Twitter. You'll be able to see shots of it. Apparently, she wasn't too happy.
Well, she's come out and said that she's asked him repeatedly not to post things like this.
Listen, you can't tame AB. This is the type of dude who literally walks out in the middle of a game. He don't give a shit.
He walked out in the middle of the game and brought some bitch back to his hotel room after he flagged down a taxi.
Have you seen the one that went around with AB? This is now probably about a month or two ago, where he's in Saudi Arabia doing God knows what with God knows who, and he's in some pool apparently naked. It might be this same woman. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
He's apparently like half drowning her, making her touch his cock. It's just all over the place, dude.
That was a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, she just didn't know, you know?
Yeah, she was all in until he started drowning her. then she wasn't about it.
She was always on until she had to
She was
rub up
off.
on AB's cock.
Until AB got off.
That one was nuts. But like you were saying, apparently he's saying his account got hacked. I highly doubt that one. But we'll see how it goes. The story and rumor is that she was trying to report it to Snapchat. There was a picture going around on Twitter of her giving AB a little JB, or BJ, I should say. I'm messing everything up, so who cares? I'm just going to roll with it at this point. He's probably doing it in the Philly Stadium for all I know. But
well, he might have been doing it in the Bucs Stadium because it was apparently a dumpster fire in Tampa today. They got rid of half the fucking staff almost.
Cleaning house.
Starting with the offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, which we all saw coming, but the dominoes didn't end there. They kept rolling. They fired Chris Benoit. I thought that was a wrestler that killed his whole family, Chris Benoit.
That might be his next career move.
But that was a specialist coach. They fired Kevin Garver, a wide receiver coach, an offensive quality control coach, Jeff Castle, which that quality was shit, so I can see why they fired him. They got rid of Lori Locust, a defensive line coach, which if that's a woman, I could see why. No offense to the women out there, but I'd imagine you haven't blocked many people in your life or got after a quarterback ever. Maybe, but how many times did Lori Locust get any sacks?
I heard she could get low, dude. She could get her hips low and just pop on up there.
Well, she might have touched sacks, but she didn't get sacks. They got rid of their running backs coach, Todd McNair. They got rid of their quarterbacks coach, Clyde Christensen, which I think he retired, actually. Their senior offensive assistant, Rich Christoffel, and their outside linebacker coach, Bob Sanders. I decided, all three of those guys, Clyde, Rick, and Bob, all decided to retire.
Yeah, they retired because they didn't want to
Todd
get
Bowles
fired.
gave some bullshit statement, and
yeah, I mean, to be honest, from what they did the first 2 years under oh my gosh, Bruce Arians, they were again, who knows how much this is Arians or Leftwich, but they were averaging 30.39 points a game those 2 seasons, and then they went down to an abysmal 18.41. Since you're a resident Bucs fan, how much do you attribute that to injury or to Leftwich himself?
Well, it's a little of both. I mean, they dropped to 25th in the NFL, which is abysmal. Brady had his career worst in I'm sorry, I'm reading that wrong.
He had his career high.
We're both 80-20 today. Brady had a career high in passing attempts, 756. I mean, we looked at last game. What do you have, 66 passing attempts in the last game alone? That's crazy.
On a 45-year-old arm, no less.
And they were injured a lot. Losing Rob Gronkowski hurts. They traded away Kappa, which he's now with the fucking Bengals for balling. But as much as we want to blame injury, the Bucs offense had plenty of talent. The offensive line struggled, but they have plenty of talent around them to get the ball out. Brady has the best quick release in football. They should have been able to work some sort of fucking scheme to work around the hampering of the offensive line sucking.
Now, you really think Brady has the best quick release, even against like a Pat Mahomes?
Well, statistically, overall, he has one of the quickest releases in football. I wouldn't say releases. He has the least amount of time holding the football in the pocket. I don't remember what the term is, but he gets rid of the ball the quickest in football.
That makes sense. And Mahomes has like the ability to scramble and extend play.
Right.
So
He doesn't. He doesn't at all, which is why his number,
what, Tom?
His average of that increased, dramatically over the past 3-4 years.
Right.
So he he should have been able, and Tom, we all thought had complete control over the offense, which obviously wasn't the case. He could audible out of shit, but when you're not in the right protection or formation, you can only audible into so much. So, yeah, it comes down to Leftwich for sure. The offense should have been far more productive than they were.
And do you think, and here's another thought, I'm just, because no offense to Todd Boyles, I mean, when it comes to being a defensive coordinator, he's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, you should.
But when it
call him
comes to
Todd
his head
Boyles.
coaching tenures,
He is a Boyle. His real name's Todd Bowles, but he
whatever,
is a Boyle.
dude. At this point, I'm just gonna let the errors fly. I don't give a crap. But good thing that you're checking me. I even knew that it was Bowles, but I just like saying Boyles. Maybe he's popping Boyles over there that are growing in on the offense. I don't fucking know. But no, do you think that it's potentially him just trying to cover his ass for good old TB?
Well, if I could have heard any of that, you were breaking up, but I'm going to assume you asked if Todd Bowles is covering his ass because that's all I heard. Of course he is. He doesn't want to get fired. He's never had a winning record as a head coach. But I think this dumpster fire comes to a full head next year when Tom's gone and this team's in a full rebuilding stage and they go fucking 2-15.
And speaking of dumpster fires, one advertiser we will never accept on this program is Spectrum, because they have just blown it on the good old Bradenton side of this here show on episode number 5.
I have Frontier.
Oh, you're still on Frontier. Well, there you go. We have 2 now. Hopefully Spectrum redeems you so we can bring them back on.
Well, then you're going to have to edit that out because they'll never have us as a sponsor. You are on the air shitting on them.
Well, at minimum, Verizon and Frontier. Actually, I guess Verizon doesn't own Frontier anymore, but that one needs to be shat on because they are blowing it over there. And speaking of blowing it, Miami with their defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer. I was kind of close on his if I said Bowles, but whatever. Josh Boyer, who had a pretty solid defense with Miami, 4th in the NFL in 2021 and 24th here in 2022. Just a complete role reversal. No one on the team changed. They actually enhanced with some of their players, especially mid-year getting Chubb from the Broncos on a trade. He got let go. In my opinion, a much-needed change of pace because that offense for Miami was rolling. And if that defense could have stopped a nosebleed, they could have potentially been a Super Bowl contender, especially if Tua were able to stay healthy. But that's a big move for the Dolphins. I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's all a matter of who they hire now. I mean, there's going to be some guys available. This is the early stages of the firing period, but the Dolphins, if they can build a defense, that team's going to be dangerous next year, and especially if they get Tua back and healthy, or even potentially bring in a Tom Brady or somebody else, somebody Derek Carr, even somebody better. Who knows?
I don't know.
The Dolphins work in mysterious ways down there.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can say Carr is better than Tua at this point in their careers.
No,
besides the fact that he can stay healthy.
Exactly. Tua, dude, the brain, man, is a funny thing. The guy, ever since the first one, it seems like the next 2 were less significant in terms of the impact, and he was not the same guy. You look at the most recent, after that, what appears to be just a normal tackle, he hits his head. He goes out and throws 2 or 3 picks after that. I mean, he was a completely different quarterback after that, and I don't know if he's ever gonna be able to take hits again. That's gonna be something he's gonna have to worry about on his own. It's something that he's gonna have to make a decision as a player and as a person whether he wants to put his body through any more of that.
Yeah, and like you said, obviously that's all personal stuff for him. He's got only 1 year left on his rookie deal too, so he's got some decisions to make. Miami clearly has some decisions to make as well, because if you're sitting here before that first concussion, it looked like Tua had totally redeemed himself for his previous couple of years in the league, and he looked like a rising star, bright, but you got to be able to figure that out. But realistically, that defense needs to improve, because even with Tua doing as well as he did throughout the season, they were in some offensive just battles because the defense, who has in the secondary, has a Pro Bowler, in the middle of the field there on their linebacking core has a Pro Bowler, had Watkins, I believe, who's their defense tackle, another Pro Bowler. And it's just for them to be 24th in the league this year is ridiculous and totally something that needs to get reversed, because otherwise it seems like the sky's the limit for Miami from an offensive perspective, no matter who they bring in, because I think McDaniels is a pretty bright mind.
Well, they're absolutely making some changes, along with the New England Patriots, who are looking to have a little bit of a reunion, it seems, as Bill O'Brien has emerged as the favorite to become the Patriots' new offensive coordinator. As he was interviewed today as of 2/19 on Tuesday, January 19th. He was interviewed, and he was mentioned for weeks. Everybody speculated as he was released from Alabama as the offensive coordinator down there. And now it appears there may be a reunion, and that begs the question, does Tom Brady return to New England and end it where it all started?
I would put that at an absolute 0% chance that Tommy goes back to the old Northeast. I don't think he wants anything to do with that. But what's funny is they seem to be recycling people there in New England, because they're now – I know that they're trying to do a little rejuvenation on the offensive side of the ball, but they just had Matt Patricia, who was there previously, and obviously went to the Lions, didn't work out, came on back. Went to the Lions. Now I'm all over the place. I think I'm talking about baseball half the time these days. But
you were right.
I don't know. I mean, I do think Bill O'Brien's more suited to be an OC in the NFL versus in college, no doubt.
Well, that also leads to the speculation of Bill O'Brien filling the void here in Tampa and Tom Brady staying on board.
How long was O'Brien? I think it was for quite a while there, right? That O'Brien was the coordinator for New England when Brady was there, at least a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was from 2007 till 2011.
Okay.
He did 5 seasons in New England. He was promoted from an offensive assistant to wide receivers coach to quarterbacks coach, finally to offensive coordinator in 2011. And that was his final year. So he only spent 1 year as OC.
In New England?
Yep. And then he went to Bama.
Okay. That makes sense. But I think he is more suited for the pro game. And with Brady, obviously it didn't work out this year with Leftwich, but it's kind of hard to mess things up with Brady. And to be blunt, the Bucs just were decimated at skill positions throughout the year. Some of his favorite targets weren't there healthy most weeks for long stints. So, and they still were averaging 18 points a game. That's not atrocious. I mean, it's not 32nd or whatever, but 24th ain't good. Or excuse me, what were they? 25th. That's even worse.
Well, that'll be
see that reunion happening.
It'll be interesting. I mean, I'm looking at forums and stuff. I don't think Pats fans are completely on board. They think he's a rental. He's just trying to build his name back up for potential head coaching job in college, or even an OC job with a team that's, even better than the Patriots are at this point. So
I could see the Bucs honestly maybe being a better landing spot for him to be, just throwing that out there. I think that's not a horrible observation. I think that
the problem is I don't know that him and Todd Bowles with Bruce Arians in the front office still calling shots, if that's going to be the case next year, if that's a good fit, because that's 3 guys that want it their way. You saw Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles trying to run things almost against each other. It kind of felt like at times. It just I don't know, man. I think Bill O'Brien needs to go somewhere that he's familiar with, but if he's not going to go somewhere he's familiar with, he needs to go somewhere where he has full control.
At least full control. The NFL has full control over where these teams play. I would not necessarily want to play international games. They got, 7 teams that are doing international games? No, 5 it looks like. You got the Bills and Titans in London, Jags for a yet-to-be-determined opponent. I don't know. Do they just draw a week out of a hat and say, here's
that's what I'm wondering. How do you have 5 teams? Like, what the fuck? You can have the Patriots hang out for 2 weeks and play back-to-back games? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, because the Chiefs and Pats, they're going to be playing in Germany, yet to be determined where. I'm assuming – I know that the NFL said Frankfurt and Munich were eventually going to be in there because this past one with the Bucks was in Berlin.
No, that was Munich, I think.
Oh, really?
I'm almost positive it was Munich.
Oh, okay, yeah, then there you go, Munich. I thought it was in Berlin, but I don't know. Listen, I'm calling the Eagles the Phillies, so don't trust me with anything. I barely know the team names.
That's true.
But okay, if it were in Munich, because I think it was actually Bayern Munich when I was I actually saw something where they're talking about the logistics, how the Seahawks did all that stuff for that Germany game. I'm more curious if they can, whichever game it is, Chiefs or Pats, since it's going to be 2. I'm more curious if they can replicate what happened with the Seahawks Bucks, because that game was rowdy. They were playing country roads. Basically, the stadium stayed full until like an hour after the game. It was a complete nutso game. I wonder if they'll be able to replicate that for these two that they're going to be playing there. Or does it get tired fast?
If they go, no, I disagree about getting tired fast. I don't think that's a thing. And when you bring it overseas, because these fans get one, right? Like you get one, and they don't know when it'll come back to theirs. It's like the Olympics for them. Like they don't know when it's coming back to their city. For us here in Florida, we can go to a Jags game or a Dolphins game or a Bucks game 8 times a year because they got 8 home games. These guys, especially if you put it in Frankfurt, a city that hasn't had it yet, like Munich did last year, it's going to be a fucking shit show. Those Germans are going to be pounding boots like it's left and right. It's going to be beer fest, especially if you put it during Oktoberfest.
That would be great. That
would
be
show.
Yeah. But what's funny, though, is I know the way we have it in our little rundown here, it's actually the Chiefs and Pats are playing 2 different teams. So they're not playing each other, if I'm not mistaken.
So they're going twice?
Yeah, there's going to be 2. That's why I said maybe it gets tired fast.
No way. Well, no way you can go twice in 1 year. There's no way.
That's what I think it is. I could be
Unless
wrong.
You go if you go in week 1 and week 17, maybe. But then if you got a playoff game the next week because you're not a fucking bye week, then you're fucked. Like what? That makes no sense to me that teams would go twice in 1 year. That just the sheer trip alone. The Bucks were talking about how it just takes a lot out of you.
Well, yeah, you're going so far for that game. And now, obviously, I'm assuming they schedule it for their buys being the next week. That's how they did for the Bucks Seahawks. But that's an effort. But these guys get paid a lot.
Think about that then. If the Chiefs and Pats are playing twice, even if it's just one team, but say it's both, that's 4 weeks burned up for each team. Because you would have to, and they don't have 2. Do you have 2 buys in the NFL?
Yeah, but they're both not playing there twice. They're both playing there once respectively, but they don't know who their opponent is. Like that.
Okay. I thought you were saying that one of those teams, if not both of them, were going to play twice overseas.
No, they're just getting the one, but they just don't know who they're playing. So if it were twice though, that would be
insane.
Yeah, you'd have to get the NFLPA in on that one because that's too much, way too much.
Well, either way, it's going to be insane. I don't know if they're going to live up to the Bucks Seahawks just because of the pageantry that was involved in that game, but we'll see. I mean, playing at Wembley's cool as hell, but I think they've done that before. Frankfurt will be new, but we'll see, man. I'm excited for it in terms of I love getting up at 9:30 in the morning and watching football. I mean, the more the merrier for me. The longer the football day, the better. But for these guys, I got to imagine they hate it. They probably hate it.
Yeah. And speaking of too much, because this sort of affects our team in the college football ranks, Ole Miss is just getting pretty top-notch portal QBs left and right these days. They got the cat from LSU, Walker Howard, and now they got Spencer Sanders is his name, I think, from Oklahoma State.
Yep, and then they got Jackson Dart. He transferred from USC last year. So, I mean, they're killing the portal over there.
Good old lane train. Don't get off the tracks when it comes to the QB situation. So they're going to be sitting pretty. I guess it begs the question, do you think maybe after spring, if someone takes that job, I mean, Spencer
Yes.
Sanders, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
is a senior. Walker's a freshman still.
Yes.
Does one of them transfer out, though?
I didn't need to hear the end of the question. I guarantee you one of those transfer out. And my money right now is on Jackson Dart transferring. And I think Spencer Sanders gets the job. Walker Howard's told he's the future. Jackson Dart transfers.
Look it up real quick. I thought Jackson Dart, wasn't he the starter, or am I
He
wrong?
He was.
I thought he declared for the draft.
Am I wrong?
Because I think that's why they needed these quarterbacks anyway. Listen, I don't trust myself.
No,
That's why
now
I'm
he
saying
has
look it up.
3. One day after the 4-star quarterback, blah, 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 blah. So Sanders started 9 games for Oklahoma State, breaking on the scene as a freshman. Blah, 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 blah. They got Walker Howard, and they have their 2022 starter, Jackson Dart.
Oh, but okay. I don't know why they would, whatever. I guess maybe they needed more people because I didn't think Jackson Dart was all that bad. That's why I just was under the impression he declared for the NFL draft, because that just kind of would make sense why they would bring like high caliber QBs in, you know?
Well, this is the speculation, right? Did Sanders commit for the sheer fact that he was offered the starting job? I mean, why did he commit?
I don't know. Can you just guarantee starting roles like that? That seems kind of dumb. Because, like, no offense to Spencer Sanders, he wasn't all that great at Oklahoma State this year.
Well, he's only got 1 year of eligibility left.
Maybe he's just trying to get his NFL profile up so he can go to the pros. I don't know. Or that just speaks more to what the hell is going on at Oklahoma State. Because why would your starter
is true. Mike Gundy's lost a lot. Mike Gundy's lost a lot of people in the past few weeks. I don't know what. There was some quote that Josh Pate was talking about a few weeks ago that he said, I think it was after the bowl game. And it's basically had a downhill effect.
Well, yeah, because who was it? It was Kansas State that just trounced them, absolutely beat them down. And then after the season was over, Derek Mason, he's out. A pretty solid defensive coordinator. Not the greatest head coach when it came to Vandy, but, like, that's a solid dude. He left. Your starting quarterback's leaving. I think they had another, like, 10, 15 transfers. They're losing, like, a third of their team. I don't know what that – I mean, it seems like turnover is the name of the game here in college these days. But that does not speak highly to what's going on in Oklahoma State. Honestly, a model of consistency for where they are in the college football world. That kind of shocks me. Now with Jim, this is what we got to talk about. Your boy, Jim Harbaugh, you called this from the jump. I didn't necessarily believe you because I thought he'd be jumping ship. Jim Harbaugh is here to stay at Michigan, at least for the time being. He announced it. This is a little bit old news now, but he announced it Tuesday that he's coming back. He said he loves the relationships that I have at Michigan, coaches, staff, family, administration, President Santo Ono, which, what is that guy's nationality? Santo Ono. That sounds like it could be like a Mexican outlaw.
He's a Korean, Mexican, Native American.
True. I think he's like Japanese, though, just looking at him.
Exactly.
But then he said he loves the families, the players, and my heart is at Michigan. I once heard a wise man say, quote, don't try to out happy, go blue. So apparently, obviously, the details for what his extension or whatnot have not come out, but you predicted it from the jump. Jim Harbaugh is not going to the NFL. He's staying at Michigan. So Jim Harbaugh staying at Michigan. The president announced it. It looks pretty good.
Better. Am I a little better now?
Sure. I mean, better looking, not so much, but you are coming across clear.
All right. I disconnected from my bullshit Wi-Fi. I forgot I'm on my phone. I don't need Wi-Fi. I'm using my Verizon.
Oh,
but yeah, Jim Harbaugh sticking around is not really a surprise to me. There wasn't really a good fit besides the Colts in the NFL. I didn't think he would go anywhere else. I do want to get back to the Oklahoma State deal because I did a little bit of research here while I was glitching. the Oklahoma State portal tracker here with Mike Gundy coming off a 7-6 season. Guess how many players have hit the portal?
I'm going to go with somewhere around. Well, I said 15, so I'm assuming it's higher than that. I'm going to go with
I didn't know you said 15 because you were glitching. You pretty much nailed it at 16.
Interesting. That's pretty crazy. 16 is a pretty good amount, and I think most of them were. I mean, Spencer Sanders, he was a huge contributor. I think a lot of them were pretty big contributors to the team. So,
yeah, I mean, you're looking at some decent guys, a lot of 3- and 4-star guys. They're -4 technically in the portal because they've had 12 transfers in. Now,
Okay.
where their rating is, it doesn't really say. I wish they'd do a rating based off star comparison and shit, but they don't. But I wonder, that makes me wonder, is that a record in the portal for a coach that's a tenured coach? I mean, you see that a lot with coaches that are incoming in their first or second year, but for a coach that's as tenured as Mike Gundy, seeing 16 guys hit the portal like that is quite shocking.
that's a lot.
It makes you wonder, is it NIL related? Is it they just didn't like Mike Gundy and they felt like that was their best option out of high school? What is the reasoning? I don't know. I couldn't even finish that thought because it sounds so absurd. But is it what?
It
What's
could
the
be
reasoning?
culture, because remember they did have the thing that happened early on. I think it was in fall camp where his brother, if I'm not mistaken, or brother-in-law, who was a wide receivers coach, had to resign because he was apparently even though I think he read a player's phone, but he read out the N-word, and that caused a little bit of havoc. So
yeah, but if I remember correctly, the reaction from the players at that time, I remember watching Josh Pate and reading fucking ESPN shit and all that. Even ESPN had a little touch on it. The players didn't really feel as strongly as the media portrayed that. They kind of felt that it was taken out of context in a sense. So they almost were in a sense of shock that he resigned in the way he did. So I don't know if maybe you're right. Maybe that was a small minority of the players that were vocal, and the people that matter had a different outlook on it. That's possible too. But
that's the
either
only
way,
thing I can
it's
think of.
shocking.
That's the only thing I can think of, because I would love to play for Mike Gundy because he's 40. You can make fun of me, but you don't say anything to them. Like, he's a trip, and he only speaks truth when it comes to his just takes on college football. So, I don't necessarily see it that way, but when you have that much of a mass exodus, I don't know what it could be,
It's very interesting, and it makes me wonder how, because Oklahoma State's been competitive. They lost some close games this year. They've been very competitive. I wonder if next year they take a big step backwards with the guys they've lost.
It seems like they just are kind of rudderless at the moment, because ever since that blowout with Kansas State, it's sort of they just kind of nosedive. They had some competitive games, but Oklahoma blew them out.
Man, I used to ride my hat in the pick'em on Pistol Pete, and after that blowout, I picked them the next week, and they didn't show up again, and I was shocked. I couldn't ride with Pistol Pete anymore. He had no more bullets in his gun. He was done.
Well, speaking of who's not done, is our boy over there at Colorado, Deion Sanders, the beast of the West, apparently getting I think he's still a consensus 5-star. Cormani McClain, the Miami commit, apparently he's officially, as of this afternoon, he's officially flipped to become a Colorado. I believe they're the Buffalo.
I think everyone saw that coming. They were just waiting for the official announcement, because once he did not sign on National Signing Day with Miami, it was pretty much, because it was a day or two after Deion, or maybe a week after Deion announced he was going to Colorado. It was pretty obvious that was where he was headed. Makes you wonder, man, is Deion cooking up something fancy over there in Colorado? Little 10, 11 win season? Little bid for the playoff, maybe?
I don't know if I'm going to go that far. There's still a lot out. I think Deion will no doubt be cooking up some dang good recruiting classes. I just don't know. Listen, rubber's got to meet the road eventually, and we could be sitting here mid-season and fall and they're crushing it out in the Pac-12. It's not like the competition over there besides Utah, Oregon, and USC is all that dominant. UCLA seems to be on the up and up.
The Pac-12 was very entertaining this year. Let's be honest. There was a lot of great games. I don't know if the talent was on par, obviously, with the SEC top dogs, with their top dogs, but it was still very entertaining football and very competitive football. It's not like he's going to go in there and just win 10 games on a whim. He's going to have to put together some good football teams.
Sure, I agree with that. Like, it was, of course, entertaining because they were just throwing up points. But if you get like SEC type talent to Colorado, the only team that can really do that these days is really USC and Oregon. And besides that, we all saw USC couldn't even close the deal against Utah to get themselves into a bona fide playoff spot.
I would give Utah and UCLA a little bit more credit. I'd say that they're potentially recruiting maybe mid-tier SEC talent. They're not getting any scrubs out there either for the most part. We saw that on display against Florida.
Sure, but they're also like, relative to the top tier of the SEC, like if you're recruiting at a mid-tier level, that's not that great. It's not winning you a national championship.
No, but it's very competitive football. I mean, you're not going to take a team that was Jackson State and go play in the Pac-12. You got to have a little better caliber athlete than that. He can't go and take what Colorado had this year and add just a couple pieces and expect to win. They're going to need a whole new, which he's going to do. He's going to have his whole new coaching philosophy, but it's not going to be just Deion Sanders shows up and Colorado's an 8-win team.
Oh, that's why I think the jury's out. Because it's easy to go. I don't even know, what are they, like Division 3 or Division 2? I don't know.
They're Division 2. But
yeah,
have you seen Colorado's schedule for this year?
I have not. But
dude, wait till you hear this. It is a little fucking daunting, especially if it holds. He did mention in the National Championship College Game Day special where he was trying to get Arizona State as the first game of the year and get rid of this first game. But guess who they opened with? Don't pull it up, you son of a bitch.
Okay. I know he was trying to pull it out, but I don't know. I know it's a pretty good team. Isn't it like an SEC team or a Big Ten team?
Nope. They open with the national runner-up, TCU. Now, I know they don't have Max Duggan, so who the fuck knows what TCU is going to look like next year. But I guarantee you Sonny Dykes has them ready to play, especially against Deion Sanders trying to get his first win in a Power 5 program.
I don't disagree. That's not an easy opponent.
Hell no. At TCU. You're going into the Hypnotoad. It's going to get crazy over there. Then they come back home the following week to play Nebraska. Not an easy game with Matt Rule coming in there. He's gonna have that team ready to play. He's got something to prove. Then they got a little bit of a cakewalk, Colorado State. They should beat them. Then they go to Oregon. Then they got USC at home. Then they go to Arizona State. Then they got Stanford at home. Then they got their bye week. Then they go to UCLA. Then Oregon State. Then Arizona. Then at Washington State. Then at Utah. That schedule is tough.
Yeah, for a team that's as terrible as Colorado was last year, again, they're going to have a little bit of a...
They could easily go 4-8. Easily.
Yeah, and again, like I was saying, the jury's still out. Like, I think Deion eventually, give him another year, full recruiting cycle, I think he's definitely going to bring in some talented guys. It might be shocking how good of a class they're able to turn around from one year to the next. I don't doubt him on that because he's a charismatic guy, a former pro. If I'm not mistaken, he's a Hall of Famer. So, and just an overall, good speaker. It just comes to, and his staff, he's put together a pretty good staff. Former Gators tight end coach, Tim Brewster, the guy who coached Pitt.
Sure.
He's there. Had a kind of embarrassing video on.
I was about to ask you if you saw that.
Yeah.
That was,
where it's making them stand up and stuff. I respect it to a degree.
If you got that available, I'd love to watch it. If you got that,
I don't have it available. I'll see if I can't pull it up here while you're saying it. But I think that Deion, it's just yet to be said how good he's going to be like as a strategist. You know what I mean?
Sure, but just as easily as I say they could go 4-8, I think they could go 8-4. I mean, a down TCU team as opposed to what they saw this year, they could be facing a major letdown. I could easily see that game being featured on ESPN primetime week 1, and they fucking pulled the upset Deion Sanders style. They're 1-0 heading into Nebraska. Nebraska hadn't really recruited for shit. We haven't seen them on the recruiting trail that heavily. So then they win another one. Then they're 3-0 after Colorado heading to Oregon. Game day shows up because that's what Deion does. They pull an upset there. Now they're 4-0 going to USC, or USC coming to them. I mean, it's very plausible that we could see heading into the bye week, they're 6-7-1.
True. Now let's see. Here's old Tim Brewster coming in hot and heavy. Let's watch this real quick.
Yeah, or they could do this.
When I say stand tall, okay, I want you bouncing out of your seat and stand tall. When I say stand tall, get your ass up. Stand tall. Sit your ass back down. Stand tall. We coming. We coming. Raise the goddamn roof. Raise the roof. We coming. We coming.
Coming.
It's like, dude, you're going that hard. Just say damn. You know what I mean? Raise the goddamn roof. You're trying to get people all hyped up.
We coming. We coming.
We coming.
Them Colorado buses show up, fucking 60 minutes of hell coming with it. 60 minutes of hell coming with it.
How come 60 minutes of hell can't come with the Gators?
The time is now.
Them Gator buses ain't had 60 minutes of hell on them.
Yeah, that was. Listen, I honestly,
he should have been a coach for like Air Force or something. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, at a certain point, I respect it in a sense. Like, I get it if it actually worked. But, dude, if you're not cussing and all that stuff, it's like he knew it was being recorded, and he's kind of doing it for the camera. You know what I mean?
How great would it have been if the guy in the front row stands up and drops his vape pen out of his lap and he goes to, like, get it? Just like, oh, shit, sorry, coach.
Deion would have him out next day. Actually, I don't know. Deion may smoke it right there in front of him. I don't know. I don't know how Deion rolls.
Deion doesn't roll with any of that shit. I mean, I don't know about vape pens, but he doesn't smoke or drink or any of that.
That doesn't shock me. He actually is a pretty straight-laced guy. Hell of an athlete, dude. So you got to keep yourself in shape that way.
You saw his toes, though, dude? He's got, like, amputated toes and shit.
Yeah, he lost, like, his big toe or something like that.
Ain't that a bitch? He'll still beat me in a foot race.
Well, yeah, that ain't that. No offense to you. I mean, not like I'm faster than you, but that ain't much of a challenge. I remember running laps with you in high school doing our sprints. It wasn't much of a challenge to beat you amongst the
I was holding
players.
back. I got a bum hip.
A bum hip at 17 years old.
I did. I'm telling you.
Whatever.
That's another segment for another show, man. That's always on medical talk.
Speaking of having bum hips, though, did you see the thing about the reparations in San Francisco? That one cracked me up.
What does that have to do with bum hips?
Because they got a bum deal, you know what I mean? Maybe some of them got some bum hips back in the day and they're repressive nonsense.
Sounds like you're calling all African Americans bums.
They're calling their ancestors bums, apparently. I don't know. Don't put those words in my mouth, Ricky Bobby. Don't you wish that evil on me?
I put you in a trick bag and you fell for it.
Yeah, I can't say I can come back from that one too easily. But no, did you see this thing that they're apparently potentially the San Francisco city is going to pay? I think it's their long-term residents. They pitched the reparations board, which I didn't even know that those types of things existed. They're apparently pitched a $5 million, what I'm going to call a buyout for.
You don't serve on your local reparation board?
I can't say I have. I don't know if they'd let me. I'm pretty sure that's going to be majority minority, if you know what I mean.
Well, how the hell can they do reparations right if it's majority minority? I get they need to have an input, but who do they think they're getting the reparations from?
You got to love the good old New York Post blocking out the
hit the red X in the top right, buddy.
There you go, guy. I got it. We got San Francisco reparations panel pitches $5 million each to their black residents. That's crazy. Apparently, their city budget guy was.
Well, watch Dr. Amos Brown. He'll tell you all about it. Is that
Apparently, their
famous
city
Amos? Hold
budget
on, is
was
that
only.
famous Amos?
No, that was
Dude,
a
I
white
think
lady.
no, it was not. You dumb, ignorant son of a bitch.
Bring it up.
Famous Amos was a fucking black guy.
Famous Amos cookies.
Yeah,
Oh, it was Wally Amos. But why don't
Wally
they have
Amos,
a?
you son of. And guess where he's from? Tallahassee, Florida. You son of a bitch. And he died with a net worth of $20,000. Talk about needing reparations. His family needs a ton of them because those cookies are delicious.
I don't know about that. That's a bold claim, guy.
Are
I
you
don't know
shitting
if
me? You ever
famous
been
Amos
fucking
cookies are that
hungover?
delicious, but they're
Well, you've
famous.
never been hung over as shit in a warehouse with fucking backup beepers going and forklifts rolling, and you need a goddamn famous Amos cookie to get you through the day because your blood sugar's low. Yeah, get you a famous Amos and a Mountain Dew. You're white trash living right there, buddy.
Well, what would you take? Would you take $5 million worth of famous Amos cookies, or would you take $5 million straight from the San Francisco City Council?
Well, now you're just being ridiculous. I'm talking that famous Amos needs his fucking cut of reparations. I'm not saying I'm willing to take 5 million in famous Amos cookies or 5 million in cash. That's just a crazy, ignorant statement. No wonder you thought that famous Amos was white. You don't even know how reparations work.
Who's the that's
I want both.
That's grandma's cookies. That's a
I
white
want
lady
both.
on the package.
I want 5 million in famous Amos cookies and 5 million in reparations. Both.
Listen, do you know how much it would apparently cost them though? $50 billion.
Way more than they got, I guarantee it.
Yeah, apparently their budget last year was $14 billion. This reparations package would cost them 50.
Oh, well, fuck, somebody will pay for it. Joe Biden will stroke them a check. We've been giving money to Ukraine. We might as well give it to California.
That might be true. What was it? Yeah, because I think he wanted to give the students like $500 $500 billion. So, maybe they can just slide a little bit of that over to the black people in San Francisco who have been there, which is funny enough, dude, because they never had slavery in California. And isn't reparations like a slavery thing? I didn't realize you could just go full, and there was no Jim Crow. So what are they bitching about? You know what I mean?
It is very interesting, especially if you look at probably who were the slaves. It was probably just the poor people that the miners and shit, the poor people that had to actually dig for gold in California. It probably really wasn't black people necessarily as much as it was just the low income people.
And if you're talking about the people that probably really got screwed out in California, you're probably talking about Asians. That's where all the Japs were interned back in the World War II.
Yeah, but
that's where all the Japanese were also doing the railroads, and Japanese were considered so low when they were like putting dynamites back in the mountains. They wouldn't even let black people do it. They'd be like, no, you guys can sit back and watch with us white boys. We're going to send in the Asians.
Yeah, but in our defense, man, we do get pretty hasty after you attack us. We get a little crazy.
We go a little overboard.
Look how we treated the Muslims after 9/11. Like, if you even saw one, you'd spit at it. Like, that's just how we were.
They definitely weren't having an easy time going through the security at airports. TPA was always pinpointing them out. You got a turban on, you're getting touched.
You didn't even need a turban you could even just be a little tan that day, and you're just coming back from Florida and you're getting searched. We didn't care if you're. That's when our racism really peaked, was after 9/11.
I would have to say you're probably dead wrong about that one. Wouldn't you kind of say slavery in general is sort of peak racism in America when you're literally having chattel slaves, ownership of other people?
You didn't let me finish. I meant in my lifetime.
Okay. Touche.
But either
the only
way,
other things I really wanted to touch on, there's a couple other good ones where it's like apparently we can now bend lightning to our will. There was something going around where they tested it was like a car-sized prototype for the
Zeus
ability.
Shit.
What?
It's some Zeus shit.
That is some Zeus type stuff. And apparently there's the ability now. I think they were saying it's kind of cool, man. Apparently they can do it like within 200 meters or something like that. Like they can basically create like a little protective dome over whatever the heck they want to put
So
that on.
let me throw this at you then. I'm high as shit, so I'm just gonna throw something out there. We don't really know how pyramids were built, right? Like the technology in itself of how they were built, the Great Pyramids.
Not perfectly. I
And
mean, I think they have assumptions, but they don't really know.
and in that same general area of the earth were the Greek gods of Zeus throwing lightning bolts. Do you think there was a time where technology was greater than what we know now? And these stories of gods, like what you're talking about, we can deflect lightning bolts, like it was just people that developed technology that was just far beyond what even the language at the time could even interpret or even put out into paper. We didn't have paper. You couldn't even fucking record it because it was so far-fetched and just out of the realm of just what the times seemed like to us, that we see hieroglyphics on the wall and we make completely opposite interpretations of what things really were.
If I had to guess, no, easily. Just because
You don't think that there's been
more than us, like right now, no.
Well,
But if you're talking about maybe a couple hundred
hold
years
on.
ago,
There's
maybe.
been massive, like the story of Atlantis and shit. There's been massive fucking events, cataclysmic events that have happened to this earth in terms of meteor impacts and comets and volcanic eruptions and tectonic plate shifts that have completely changed this earth. You don't think that, and extinction events that have literally driven human population down to fucking hundreds of thousands of people, like a stadium full of people on the entire earth.
So
And
I guess the
you don't
question
think
is,
that you don't think technology's been lost in time?
so I guess the question is, how far do you want to go back? Are you talking about like Egypt
Way back. I
times?
mean,
Or are you talking
even
like the whole history of the earth?
way before that. I'm talking even way before that. I guarantee you, because you think about or biblical times where they talk about uh, fucking Atlantis and all that nonsense, not nonsense, but all the fucking crazy the trading outposts that were around the world and shit, and in old historical books like Plato would talk about that shit, and all the Aristotle and all these fucking historians. There is something to it. I mean, whether it's just one general area and it was just they had to travel by foot, so it felt like it was so far, or it's real and they had actual means of transportation, because they say that Africa was a Greenland and it was fucking underwater in certain areas. There was certain portions of the Sahara that were connected by canals and rivers and all that shit. It was a huge trade outpost. And that's where Atlantis was.
I would say that there were probably like, because again, if we're talking about just human history and not the entire Earth's history, which is way, way, way longer, I would probably say that, again, I'd still say no, but I would think that I could see, because like the Great Pyramids of Giza, the three big ones, those were built before the Bible. So like the Bible was being written after those were built.
Sure. Yeah.
So like I could see that maybe there's something to the fact that like, oh, there was stuff that Egypt was doing back in the day that was like more advanced than maybe your Vikings, right? But I don't think that where it comes to today, where literally you and I are communicating over, digital stuff, I don't think, and then we have buildings that are, 4 or 5 times taller than the Great Pyramid. Don't quote me, but I don't think that, and then we literally have bombs that can blow up the world. I don't think they were as nearly close to advanced as we are. Doesn't mean they weren't impressive. Don't get me that. Like, dude, those guys were clearly doing something that no one else was.
It probably advanced in far different ways than we even can wrap our brains around, right? Like it was probably a far different form of advancement. They didn't have computer chips and shit. They didn't come up with that kind of advancements. But just the sheer ability to build the pyramids and the way they came up with embalming. And I was listening to a Rogan thing where they were talking about their pottery and how the fucking measurements were far more perfect than
you were
could
listening
even
to
make
Graham
now.
Hancock on Rogan. I know who you're listening to. That guy.
No, this was
not that he's not
actually
interesting.
There's actually one they just had 2 guys that are I can't remember their names. It was just out 2 days ago.
Oh,
But either way, they referenced Graham Hancock, but they're just talking about just the technology of the way they just built things so perfect, like in terms of measurements. It's mind blowing. I don't know
no,
necessarily to say it's more advanced than it is more advanced than us in the way they could do it, but like he was talking about how they drilled through fucking the granite in such a perfect way, like it's something that we aren't even able to do today. Like, it just, there's some things that we have no, like just the fact that we have no answers for some things that they did. Right. That's
yeah.
mind blowing in itself.
I don't know if there's anything that they did that we couldn't do today, but I do like there were things they did, like an obelisk, dude. Those things are really impressive. They
Well, no,
literally
there is though the vases that they found that are made out of, I think they said made out of granite. Just the degree that they're made to in a perfect 90-degree and all that to the like thousandth of an inch. Machines can only do it to like a tenth of an inch. Like they were the way they described it. You're like, oh shit, like yeah, that's fucking insane.
I guess
Like
I'll have to check
machines
out
can
that
only be so
podcast
perfect.
because I'm
Because
gonna I smell a little bullshit.
well, maybe, but when the things about with machinery is the more instruments you introduce to machines, the more room for error. So their thought is that this was more or less done by hand, essentially. That they think that it was done but even by hand, no one's been able to replicate it.
See,
So
that's what I was just about to say, because the only reason we can get as precise as we do with things today is due to machinery. So that's where it's like, that's like the Graham Hancock was talking about, like, oh, what if the Egyptians got in this completely different realm than stuff that we don't even look at? We're like, our thought for innovation is like mechanical stuff. Well, what if they were, and he gets a little wacky with it, but
he does like, well, that's also
but
what
he talks about, like, could they
vibration.
levitate stuff with certain frequencies? And it's like, we know that you can have that happen, but I don't. And like he was saying, could they speak telepathically? Like he was hinting at stuff like that, where I just don't buy it.
Well, getting into what I was talking about the granite drilling and the pottery that they made, which isn't technically pottery, but it's what they did, and it's the way diamond cutting is done now, is you match the vibration of the diamond with the vibration of the drill to cut perfect cuts on diamonds. And that's how they would do it with the granite back then. And, the fact that they even knew how to do that.
So here's the thing, though. How does the person who's saying that know that they knew how to do that? Like, if we can't even say,
well, that's the only way that's the only way to cut the granite that way, is to do it. That is to match the vibration of it, to cut it the way they cut it. It's got to do with the way it was drilled out. You can only get that cut via the vibrations. Listen, I just listened to the podcast once. I didn't fucking study it, but it is very interesting to even ponder.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to it because I'm always up to listen to that stuff. I don't know
it's
if I buy it.
I know you love it. You just love to even just get into that whole thing, I think.
Well, yeah, because like the thing with the pyramids too is like they don't necessarily know how it was done, but they have like good guesses. You know what I mean? Where it's like they think that maybe they did like dirt ramps, and they just would haul this shit up from the dirt.
Yeah, but that's hard.
But then it comes to like, oh, well, the granite was sourced like, I think it's like somewhere in the range of like 500 miles away. Like it was a long ways away.
Well, you should listen to this because they talk about the fact that there was a comet impact that flooded the western front of Africa, that basically flooded into the Sahara and caught the Nile. And then you can see via satellite imagery the ripples of water rapidly rushing back to the Atlantic. So it's very interesting to listen to, man. I don't know enough to really talk in depth about it, but it's very interesting. Because
I'm not saying it's not interesting. It just gets a little, without any sort of proof, it just gets to conjecture and sort of like conspiracy,
sure.
Where it's like, if you have nothing to, at least the guys who are trying to, suss it out, like an archaeologist or something, at least are coming up with like concrete examples of how it could be done versus not that these guys are saying it, but like the Graham Hancocks are saying, like they may potentially have had super advanced stuff that we haven't even contemplated yet, where I just don't buy it. Because like they still were dying of all sorts of diseases and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know.
What's interesting though, is they're saying where the site that they believe Atlantis is now, you can see via satellite imagery that there's salt deposits all over the area, which would lead to believe the salt water settled there. And also the topography of the earth shows that there's sand dunes that are upwards of like 100 to 300 feet high in
Mhm.
certain points that peak and valley. And the point between like the main sediment and the settled sand at some points is like a mile deep, is what they were saying.
I just think wouldn't we stumble across something though? Because like
Well,
we all know
the
dinosaurs
reason they
are
didn't
older, right, than the
listen, the
pyramids, and
reason
we can
the
like there was a thing that was
I know.
pulled up in Russia, I believe, like a couple weeks ago, where it's literally like a woolly mammoth baby, like fully preserved because it's just been frozen in permafrost like its entire life or since it died. It's like so well preserved that there was still skin on the thing. So it's like if you're telling me that there's all this disaster happening, and again, who knows? People have explored it, yada yada yada. But it's like, couldn't you bring up something that's like, hey,
Well,
here's concrete
here's
proof
another
of
reason though. Back in ancient times, they talk about, I think it's Mesopotamia or something, whatever was in the African region that was rich in gold and salt, and that people would seek out all the time. Well, now it's similar to that same location that they're talking about now, and they've had people try to go, especially now that it's becoming a topic. People try to go find it and explore it, and they are met with basically land pirates that are, wielding AKs and threatening to kill you because they don't want their gold to be taken because the land is rich in gold.
hmm,
So
interesting.
it's interesting as fuck. There's a reason, like they'll fly over it and get these, images, but to actually explore the land is, I forget, they mentioned some fucking Congress shit that was passed in the 80s about Africa and shit. Like, I don't know, man. It's interesting.
Well,
I
there's a
didn't get
lot of
all the way
cool
through the
stuff like
podcast
that
either.
because like there's the people. A lot of people believe that Noah's Ark, if that were to be such a thing, is sitting on a hillside or a mountaintop
Well,
in Turkey somewhere.
listen
And
to
they
this.
literally like they have like photographic images from aerial stuff to where people claim that it's like literally the exact dimensions of what was listed in the Bible, but yet like Turkey won't let you go up there and touch it. Like they say no. And
Well,
then there's
listen to
similar
this though.
things in China where it's like the what do they call them? It's
Yeah,
like where it's those statue soldiers they dug up somewhere,
yeah.
and
And
you can
there's,
go
did you
see.
know there's pyramids in Japan too that are almost identical to the pyramids in Egypt?
Well, there's pyramids down in the Yucatan, baby, in Mexico. I've
Exactly.
seen them, Chichen Itza. Those are actually really
So,
cool.
so listen to the theory though about Noah's Ark and the Great Flood. There is proven now evidence of a crater in the Indian Ocean that dates back to literally within, in scientific terms, 1,000 years is basically a year to us, the way we think of terms. They say, and don't quote me on 1,000 years, but I think it's, relatively close to when they date the Great Flood and Noah's Ark and shit, to this crater that hit in the Indian Ocean and would have sent flood into, Italy, all that fucking the Red Sea and all that shit. It would
Well,
have flooded all those lands.
yeah, there's definitely something going on around those times because, like, it's not even just the Jews in the Bible. There's also like ancient people like the Assyrians and a couple other like Mediterranean, like Middle Eastern cultures there, like in the Iran area today, who like their documents that we're able to read mention floods and stuff like that. So I think there's something to it. It's just hopefully one day, at least when it comes to that Noah's Ark deal, hopefully they can one day go up there and excavate it. I want to see this thing with Joe Rogan where they're able to talk about these granite pots or whatnot, or vases. I don't know, but that would be cool. Cause I mean, I've never heard that they were so precise that they could at least like make things that were as good as what we can do today.
If not better.
Yeah. Because I've always heard like the things that, like the pyramids align with the stars and constellations of their time damn near perfectly. Like the Mayan calendar was as sophisticated, if not more sophisticated, at predicting like lunar eclipses and stuff like that up until really just modern times, like the 20s. And so like they were definitely very advanced people. I'm not trying to like poo-poo what their achievements were. I just when you're talking about today, like you're really you're stretching it a little thin. Like if we're talking about maybe the revolution, okay, maybe. But like even then, once you're starting to get to when guns and stuff were made, and especially today where we're flying around in, metal birds essentially, like I just don't know if anyone again, maybe we'll find something someday. That would be cool, but I don't know if I buy it, at least at the time being.
Well, what's your favorite metal bird now that you mentioned metal birds? Because the best and worst airlines of 2022 were released via the Wall Street Journal today. Who do you think's top rated?
Well, I actually know who's top rated, and it is my favorite bird to fly on if I can. It's Delta. I'm a Delta guy through and through.
That's funny because I don't fly much, and the last time I did fly, it was with what is now rated the worst airline, JetBlue. So,
Really?
I mean, it was so bad. Granted, it was blizzard blew through New York, and I got snowed in for 2 days. But I had to call the customer service, and I got a free round trip flight out of it. This was back when money was a little more easy to get. You know what I mean? It wasn't a dollar. A dollar went a little further, I guess I should say, back then. A round trip flight meant something. I got 30,000 points. Nowadays, I think 30,000 points might get you from Tampa to Fort Myers.
Well, and then JetBlue, Spirit, and Allegiant. But Allegiant, another cheap one, because like those three are pretty cheap airlines. Allegiant's actually rated pretty high, number 5. It looks like in the overall rankings there.
It's good to see United bouncing back after 9/11. They're in the top 5 now.
That's true. I thought that was American, but it was United.
Well, United 93 that the government shot down in Pennsylvania.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Yeah, no, but that's the thing. That one bouncing
American
back.
Airlines, though, was the other two. I think American Airlines hit the Twin Towers.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I can see
and they haven't quite recovered yet. They haven't quite recovered yet.
True. Yeah. American, if Allegiant is beating out American, that doesn't speak highly for
and Southwest. I mean, Southwest is a sleeper team. They're in the top 3.
Well,
and then you got Alaska
is,
Airlines.
Yeah, that's the biggest upset of the day. Alaska Air coming in hot. Where do they even fly?
But then again, Alaska, dude. So, I mean, then again, when you're only flying one route the whole time, I mean, how fucking hard is it to fuck that up?
That's what I'm saying. It's like Southwest is like they ain't just flying in the Southwest, they fly all across the country. So it's like, where's Alaska Airlines going? It must be, I guess, just out west because I've never seen them. Not that I don't fly out west.
Travel so miserable? Blame Florida. So they're trying to blame Florida for the traffic issues in the air, which makes sense because Florida's road traffic sucks. So why wouldn't our air traffic?
Where are you seeing that on this article? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I just go ahead and click the article and click air traffic control down there in the underneath the graph, and it'll pull up this little article I'm looking at. It. Spirit Airlines Inc. is quoted as saying they'd love to fly more to Florida, but hasn't been able to because of air traffic control constraints. Flights from Florida to the continental U.S. account for about 40% of Spirit's network.
Huh. Yeah, the state's obstacle course jams up airspace over some of the U.S.'s most popular vacation spots. But that's also saying, though, that, like, everyone wants to come down to Florida. So what can we say? It's not like it's the Great Plains where you got wide open spaces.
Right. It's not our fault.
It's not our fault everyone wants to fuck with Florida. I mean, Ronnie D down here apparently is just living large. People are going to, kiss the ring down in Mar-a-Lago for Trump.
Everybody wants to go to Disney World and see Mickey Mouse.
That's true. They're coming to old O-Town. I can tell you what.
Everybody wants to go see the Jaguars game.
I don't think anyone's wanting to go to Duval. Duval ain't the destination spot. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. You're right. I'll give you that.
Oh, did it not share it? I thought it would share it. Let me share this airline traffic control one. I didn't even look. I was hoping that they would do it. Boom. Here you go for the peeps out there. For Mr. Patel, here you go.
Ishmael Patel.
Ishmael. The Indian subcontinent, we're coming for you in 2023.
That's why he unfollowed us right there.
No, he loves us. He loves us. Yeah, no, honestly, I didn't realize that though. But if I had to go with my best airline, it's going to be Delta. Not that I've flown. I'm trying to think of how many of these I've even flown. Delta for sure, Southwest for sure, Allegiant, and JetBlue. Those are the only ones of this list that I've actually even flown on. I've never flown on a United or an American flight. Actually, I'm lying. I did for work once have to go on an American. I didn't like it. It sucked.
I'm so distracted right now. I'm I went to our YouTube.
Hey, you know there's a show on, guy.
I just went to our YouTube and I was just trying to see our activity. I just got caught off guard by someone in our family here at Always On was watching the execution of Wilhelm Keitel, Nazi field marshal.
That wasn't me.
Was that in HR?
I mean, that
Somebody in HR watching
sounds
that?
like something I would 100% watch. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think I remember an execution video I watched. Is Always On already hacked? We got a hacker in there.
It might have been Ishmael Patel.
Ishmael Patel just came in trying to see an execution because I would have known.
Can people see our history? Because that might be why we're down to 0 subscriptions.
I don't know. But we're really off the rails at this point. Like you're so unfocused. You went to the fucking YouTube page like a moron.
No, I mean, I wanted to see who our other follower was that you told me about that had a big following. He was some big slinging D out of Detroit or something.
Yeah, you got to go to the Twitter page, you moron. Well, Jesus Christ.
Since we're
completely off topic, let's get back on it here.
Off topic. That's how we roll.
Last thing before you go check our activity levels. Have you heard of any of these movies? Because I didn't hear about any of them except for one. These apparently are the must-watch, the 8 best action movies and TV shows to watch right now.
Right now.
Have you heard of, I'm assuming it's Lou on Netflix? It's an action thriller.
Yeah, trying to read that's terrible. I'd pull it up on mine.
Yeah, guy, you're on your fucking phone. Like, what are you talking?
I just don't want the spam of pulling that up. I don't want that to be on my recommended for you page.
What, Lou?
Yeah, fuck Lou. Sounds terrible.
Speaking of, have you seen The Gray Man? I don't even know what some of these are about, but I'm just trying to get your first thoughts. Gray Man.
Can you maybe give me a brief synopsis of it?
Do your own research, guy. Playing the most, what is it? An action hero since Sean Connery. I don't even know what this word is. In Sockington. This is how, like, ridiculous these people are being. Let's see what Google says. Insistent. I don't even know what that means. Insistent. Showing a casual lack of concern. Okay. So apparently the Gray Man is a guy acting insistent.
He's nonchalant. He's unruffled, unworried, lacking concern, indifferent.
It's Ryan Gosling, and he's in, what is it? Gosling marks the end of a 4-year disappearing act with The Gray Man. His first feature since First Man.
That's been out for a while. It's stupid.
But these are what you got to watch right now, because something else that's been out for a while was Top Gun Maverick. I've never seen that.
I did want to watch that too, but every preview or dumb little clip I saw just looked cheesy as shit. It just looked like the most cheesy cornball fucking Tom Cruise Scientology loving fucking movie I've ever heard of. And it's so boomer. It's like fucking, oh yeah, big America, my fucking fighter jet. Hell yeah, it's stupid as shit.
Wow, apparently we got an anti-American over here. All right.
Not anti-American. I'm anti-fucking Tom Cruise and dumbass Top Gun fucking fake as shit. I got to do my own stunts. I'm fucking that. I hate Tom
Hold on,
Cruise.
that's not fake. He's doing his own stunts. What are you talking about?
He's a little sawed-off Scientologist fuck. I don't like him.
Scientologist. I love how you go fake as shit, does his own stunts. Okay, not really fake, but I see where you're coming from. Well, what about the Northman
picks
here?
And chooses, man. I hate him. The Northman, I don't know what this even is. It's on Peacock. But that's the problem too, man. There's so many goddamn streaming services. Like, You got Peacock, his cock, your cock, HBO. It's all fucking. I can't even keep track of what it's on.
It's all everywhere, dude. It's just coming at you left, right, and center. I don't have Peacock either. I haven't seen this thing.
We got another Batman. Like, it's on multiple platforms, I guess.
That's
but
what I'm saying.
Jesus.
This isn't the only movie I believe I've actually seen. It's long as heck, dude. It's 3 hours long, this Batman movie. I didn't think it was bad.
It's almost as long as this stupid podcast.
Well, you're the one that's trying to you're the one mid-podcast trying to go to our fucking activity levels like a moron.
I thought
What about the Adam Project? This is probably about someone special, so it might relate to you.
It's actually
Special needs kid. Is that what it's about? Reed Carter. This might be a biopic.
Again, Ryan Reynolds. I think this fucking article was written by Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. The other one was Ryan Gosling.
Well, somebody named Ryan wants to fuck both these guys, I guess, because they're everywhere.
And then last,
none of these are good, dude. None of these are fucking good. They're
everything, everywhere, all at once. That just defines good. What are you talking about?
This is terrible.
Speaking of being terrible, this ending has been terrible. So I think we got to wrap this thing up because
I think the ending's been better than the beginning because we're just not getting into how I really feel. This is dumber than shit. None of these movies look good. I wouldn't even watch the previews of half these. I'd skip right over them.
You go and Jack Reacher yourself real quick. You know what I mean?
Actually, that's one that I've heard isn't bad. DC has approved it. Actually, it's been approved by a few people. But then again, if DC's approving it, it's probably a big old boomer show.
Dude, I heard he's kind of gay. He's called Jack Reach Around, so it's a
Jack
little
Reach Around. That's interesting. You must be on the Pornhub version, you fucking weirdo. You're on the wrong website.
There's probably a spinoff called Jack Reach Around for the gays on Pornhub. I bet you there is.
It's on Peacock, not Jack Off. It's not wrong streaming service.
All right, let's cap it off with something that sucks. Speaking of that, how about this?
Great, yeah, let's do that. Let's cap it off with something that sucks.
Dude, something's being sucked here. Have you seen this statue? This Martin Luther King statue looks like he's eating puss. He's sucking on something delicious, it looks like.
The more I look at it, the more it just looks like a big old bitch's ass in his hands. And he just got her just propped up on the counter, just getting into it.
Bro,
Good
do you know how much they spent on this thing?
Well, Martin Luther King was a little bit of a floozy himself, huh? He was out getting after it.
He was what they would call a womanizer. He had a little fun with the ladies back in the day.
You would too, though. If you were leading a fucking civil rights movement, you had to blow off some steam.
And he blew some steamy loads on some ladies, you know what I mean? But bro,
I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
This thing cost $10.5 million. You could have paid 2 reparation payments to some black guys in San Francisco, and they would have come up with a better statue than this for $10.5 million.
That's embarrassing. Just the fact that they thought, why not just do your standard statue of Martin Luther King? Like, why not? What is that even supposed to chase? Please explain to me what the thought process is here, what it's supposed to be.
So what this is apparently supposed to be is there's a picture. Let's see if I can get it here. I'll go to the article. Give me a second. Let me bring it up. There's a picture apparently of Martin Luther King with his wife. This is supposed to be modeled after, where they're like hugging each other, and they call it the embrace. I'm pretty sure that they show it in this article. Here it is. This is what it's modeled after. Does that look like anything like what we just saw? This is the inspiration.
No.
This is $10.5 million worth of modern art in the good old 2023.
What the? That's not even close.
You're telling me, guy. You're telling me.
Wow.
It's like despicable. And then
did Lori
Lightfoot
design this?
It is. And this is what it's based off of. I don't see the resemblance. So I guess I see that little bead stuff right there. That, and then here's his arm coming around. So I'm guessing There are those beads. There's Emma. So this turd-looking thing is apparently MLK.
He's a giant turd dong.
Bro,
That's
I just
exactly
dropped
what
that off today at work going to the bathroom with just a fucking shit. Oh, it was probably better looking than this too, to be completely honest.
Well, his cuck ignorant wife is the more important apparently, with her fucking hands all around his giant meat that everybody wanted to blow. That's why the CIA killed him.
Coretta is a beautiful lady, and don't you dare speak bad to her. Joe Biden sang her happy birthday and didn't even know her name.
Well, it's the thought that counts.
It's the thought that fucking counts, baby. And then the last thing I want to leave off on, since we're talking about civil rights, here is how you get your civil rights going right. Would you do this? I want to see this from you. Next time I see you, we'll film it, whether it be at a Gator game or something like that. You paying homage to your betters.
We're not serious, right?
That's 2023 for you, dude. It's on an account called Clown World for a reason.
Where is that?
I would guess. I mean, come on. If you had one guess,
California.
Where do you think that's taking place?
More specifically, San Francisco.
It does not say, but I'm only guessing that's on UC Berkeley in California, somewhere like that.
I just don't understand come on, dude.
It's
and his buddy even comes over and is like, dude, come on, like you're making this worse. I get this is ridiculous.
What is it? Because my thought is like, are you trying to get clemency from these two black girls who you never did anything to in your life? Like, what are you trying to forgive the oppression of what you put in your trash away, the right receptacle?
Well, no, I think he's almost making a statement like, just, I'm putting trash in the trash can where it belongs. And this is, you're throwing shit on the ground. What the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't understand. I'd rather more think of the stance of what are these fucking two girls thinking? Like, what's their purpose here of taking trash out of a trash can and putting it on the ground?
I thought you were going to take that in a way worse direction and say that he's like, you need to put those black girls in the trash. And I'm like, damn, dude, you're going hard here at the end of this show. Calling black people trash.
Well, you probably should. And not just because they're black girls, just because they're dumb as shit. Like, I just think this is fucking some of the most ignorant shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, just, all he's doing is throwing away the trash that they probably threw out in the first place. We didn't see the beginning of this video, but I would imagine that they threw the trash out in the first place.
It's a ritual. Honestly, I think he's just trying to pick them up. He's trying to get a little hot date for tonight. And I think on that note, speaking of picking up, I think we should pick up where we left off here tonight on Tuesday, episode number 6, recapping the divisional round, maybe talking about some more BS, and go from there, because we've been rolling right along.
No telling what time this started, but we do know what time it finished, and that's right now.
And that's right now. Peace out.